This November's state election is shaping as a referendum on the east-west toll road after Labor today vowed to scrap the project, even if contracts are signed before the vote. It's an about-face by opposition leader Daniel Andrews, who's previously promised not to disown contracts for the project if he wins government. More from our state politics reporter, Francis Bell.
As a new round of drilling begins for the east-west link, Labor has thrown a spanner in the works.
If we win the election, then we will not proceed with this project.
Despite saying this last year,
I'm not in the business of ripping up contracts.
Daniel Andrews is now using legal advice to argue a court challenge by two councils to the east-west planning process, to be heard in December, means any contract signed before the election in November won't be valid.
I do not for a moment accept that a contract signed weeks before an election, while the project is under challenge in the Supreme Court, is worth the paper it is written on.
He says if Labor wins the election, it won't defend the case in court, but refused to say what would happen if the judge ruled the planning process was valid.
We'll see all these ifs. You want to resolve? No.
Their position is if, then maybe. It's another flip-flop.
The business lobby warns ripping up contracts would undermine investment certainty and confidence in government.
We're very disappointed that the opposition have chosen to step away from their long-held position that they would honour the contracts.
While the government's accusing Labor of economic vandalism, risking thousands of jobs and a hefty legal bill.
So what Daniel Andrews is saying today is that he will expose the people of Victoria to over $3 billion of compensation, refunds and damages.
Labor says all of that can be avoided if the signing of contracts is delayed a few weeks until after the election. But the government says it won't be held to ransom, insisting contracts will be signed by the end of next month. Francis Bell, ABC News, Melbourne.
In Melbourne, residents who've campaigned against the project have welcomed Labor's announcement. But as Karen Percy reports, for others, the anxiety drags on.
Harriet Mantell has lived in Collingwood for almost 2 decades. Her home is between where the Hoddle Street flyover is supposed to be and where the tunnel will cut in on Alexandra Parade. She's pleased about Labor's decision.
It means personally for me that we won't have to live through 5 years of hellish construction.
Everyone, it seems, has an opinion about the project.
It's a waste of money and I think it's not going to be good.
Marvellous. It joins the east with the west, and if it's not done this year, it has to be done in 5 years' time. Better to do it now when it needs to be done.
I'd prefer having the train line come through and more people on public transport.
It has some benefits, but I think the way to go, of course, is by trains. So the train system is what's required for infrastructure of the future.
The local community has mounted a strong campaign against the toll road. Compulsory acquisition notices have been issued to some local businesses. Others have already left.
The Linking Melbourne Authority should be given instructions to halt all work on compulsory acquisitions until this matter is decided after the election.
Today's development might clarify the politics, but it does little to ease the anxiety for some residents and businesses. It still has to get past the Supreme Court and voters. Karen Percy, ABC News, Melbourne.